Good morning. This is the beginning of my second year, both as trustee and as treasurer. So I've learned a lot in the past year. When I ran for the board, I promised you that I would use my not-for-profit financial, governance, and legal experience to support ARIN's mission, and I've done my utmost to deliver on that promise during year one. I have been helped enormously by ARIN staff and by my colleagues on the Board of Trustees. I'm excited to be here to present the ARIN Treasurer's Report, and as usual, I know that that is the reason you're here. I'm going to tell you a bit about the work that the Finance Committee has undertaken since we last met, after which I'll review the 2018 financial results, provide highlights of the investment portfolio, and then look at the 2019 budget. The Finance Committee continues to monitor the investment portfolio for compliance with the investment policy and make any adjustments that are required in consultation with our investment consultants. At the end of March, the portfolio balance was about $25.6 million. The Finance Committee approved fee schedule changes for implementation last year, as you all know. In addition to implementing those fee changes, Financial Services redesigned invoices to better support our ARIN customers. ARIN staff worked diligently in collaboration with the Finance Committee to develop the 2019-2020 budget, which was then approved by the board. The Finance Committee met often during the fourth quarter, and I would like to acknowledge the significant efforts that Val and her team put into compiling that budget. Thank you, Val. Where is Val? Thanks. The 2018 audited results have been approved by the Audit Committee and have been presented to the board. ARIN has an annual financial audit performed by an independent outside firm to fulfill the board's fiduciary responsibility to this community. The 2018 audited financial statements have been posted to the new ARIN website, and I encourage you to review them. Finally, staff have begun work on the IRS 990 form, as Val mentioned earlier, and that will be presented to the Finance Committee for review and approval soon. The 2018 financial results are in front of you. Registration revenue came in slightly over budget. However, our investment income was much lower than anticipated. We experienced a loss of $1.4 million rather than the budgeted investment income of $1.4 million due to the December market correction that happened in both the US and Canada. The Finance Committee has asked ARIN's investment consultants for a detailed review of our investment policy, and we will meet with them next month to determine whether we need to make any revisions to our policies. ARIN, like many of us, experienced a dramatic change in its portfolio balances in December 2018. To put December into context, it was the most severe correction late in the year since the early 1930s. Stock valuations in the US went from being fully valued to maybe overvalued in early December to being undervalued or even a bargain by the end of December. This impacted ARIN. On the expense side, our expenses for the year came in $1.7 million under budget, and I will highlight some of the significant variances in the next two slides. Rather than a budgeted $2.9 million decrease in net assets for 2018, we experienced a $3.9 million decrease in our net assets. You can see that salaries and benefits are under budget. This occurred in a number of areas: fringe benefits uptake, training, and capitalized fringe benefits. Software and equipment support is $66,000 or 10% under budget, and this is attributed mainly to lower than expected software support costs. Professional fees came in 15% under budget. Some of the 2018 budgeted expenses have been delayed to 2019. General office expense is $237,000 under budget due to some of our service costs being lower than expected, and due also to a change in our accounting treatment for investment fees. Legal fees are over budget by 21% due to some litigation expenses incurred late in the year. Some of those will or may be recoverable. Members' meeting expense is under budget for the year due to some non-repeatable cost efficiencies that were achieved in 2018. Travel expense was $180,000 under budget for the year due to reduction in costs that we experienced, and in some cases, a reduction in the budgeted number of travelers. ICANN expense is computed by the RIR's treasurer annually and was lower than anticipated for 2018. The NRO budget expense is also estimated based on our previous experiences, and the actual expense was 34% less than we had estimated. ARIN's investment portfolio is allocated into 3 distinct funds, each with different investment objectives. The long-term reserve fund was by far the largest component at $19.9 million at December 31st. The legal defense fund was $2.2 million at the end of the fiscal year, and the operating reserve fund had a balance of $1.6 million at the end of the year. The chart in front of you illustrates the investment portfolio balances over the past 5 years. You'll note the December market correction and then the subsequent recovery that we have experienced in the first quarter of 2019. And now for the 2019 budget. I'll note that we have projected revenues of $21.9 million and we have budgeted expenses of $22.7 million, which would leave us with an expected $800,000 draw on our net assets for 2019. Some budgeted expenses that I'll draw your attention to are salaries and employee benefits, where we project a decrease in personnel costs due to some attrition. Software and equipment support will increase over 2018 actuals, as will professional fees, because we will undertake activities or projects that were originally planned for 2018. The general office budget is increased due to the costs resulting from a rising trend of customer credit card payments. We expect routine legal fees will be less than those we experienced in 2018. We will have ongoing litigation expenses, which are unbudgeted, and some of which may be recovered. On this last slide, members' meetings budgeted expenses show an increase from 2018, due mainly to the increased costs of our 2019 locations. And finally, ICANN and NRO expenses are increased to reflect our current best estimates of 2019 assessments. Any questions?
Any questions on the Treasurer's report? Thank you, Nancy.